everyone, and welcome to the Leadership Heart Podcast with Sandra J. Horton, the Growth Catalyst. Well, welcome everyone to the Leadership Heart Podcast, the show where bold innovation meets conscious leadership. I am your host, Sandra J. Horton, and I believe that leadership is not about titles. It's about impact and intention and courage to serve others. And on this podcast, we will go beyond strategy and surface level success to have real, honest conversations with change makers like Nicole. I'm so excited. In health and in tech, innovation, social impact, and beyond. You are truly going to hear from visionary leaders who are building organizations that put people first. Leaders who understand that in a world powered by technology, it is humanity that must lead the way. With more purpose, to have more clarity, and to lead with heart, you are in the right place. Welcome, Nicole. Welcome, Nicole Donnelly. Thank you so much. You are located here locally in the Lower Mainland of British Columbia in Canada. So I'm out in the burbs. So we are kindred souls loving this beautiful Pacific coast. It truly is an honor to have an exceptional expert like yourself who resides in this close to me in this Lower Mainland. So a little bit about Nicole, because there's so much to say about Nicole, and she's a humble heart. She has so much humility, but she is an amazing, fierce woman who has done a lot in this area. And this is really, truly about AI power moves. And this woman has done it. She's been there and done it. She is a global AI speaker. She is a serial entrepreneur and an award-winning prompt engineer. She is the founder of AI Smart Marketing, which again has huge impacts around the globe. She brings nearly 2 decades of business leadership and innovation to the world of AI. She has been using AI since 2015, and her team have trained over, now I think it's 12,000, but at the time it was 10,000 professionals. 15,000? Oh my goodness. Okay. It keeps getting better. Across 30 countries. I just have to say this because the important piece here is that you have reclaimed time, that valuable resource to improve productivity in organizations and drive creative growth, amounting to over 10 million, now V plus 10 million hours saved. And you originally started with your baby legs. You have 3 different beautiful books, amazing things. So much. Welcome to the show. Thank you again, Nicole, for coming on to the Leadership Heart Podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So let's dive in. Let's open this up because there's so many wonderful sides to Nicole. You know, you've gone from being a pro snowboarder to a global brand founder. What is that right mindset? What is it that's required today that you've been able to carry with you across all these different areas that is really required for success?
That's a really good question. I think what it is, there's a curiosity and a resilience and gratitude. Our daily meetings, everybody starts off with their gratitude. You could be thankful for the coffee that you have, or you could be thankful for the cat on your lap, or whatever it is. It could be some big win, a client you just closed. But we start our days with gratitude. At home, we always would start our days with gratitude and end them with gratitude as we're going to bed, putting my kiddo to bed. We'd talk about the things that we were thankful for that day. I think it helps keep that positive mindset because business goes up and down. Clients quit. They don't pay their bills. Like there's so much that can happen when you're rooted in that gratitude. I feel like there's a resilience that comes with that.
I absolutely agree. And I think that resilience, we have to bring in those lessons. There are opportunities for good.
I wish I didn't have so many lessons someday. When something happens, I'm like, why do I need to be stronger? Why do I need to learn more about this right now?
Or it keeps repeating itself, you know, Nicole. This is the thing that I found in women of a certain age. It's like, have I not listened to that or learned from that beautiful opportunity? And particularly now, especially so much change is happening in our world right now. There's so much uncertainty, and bringing this mindset, having gratitude, because I live with gratitude every single moment. That's really getting getting into the heart of who you are out of the mind, but yet AI is more data, it's more logical, it's an interesting intersection. So what attracted you from whipping down the hills as a pro snowboarder to getting into AI?
Yeah, with my marketing agency, we started using AI 10 years ago. And I just say it's because I'm lazy. I will try all the different tools to help us out, like tools and process. We're always thinking about how can we deliver more to our clients and give them more of our magic, and how can we have it take less of our time? How can we automate? And there are times for AI, there's times for automation, there are times for humans. We ask ourselves this every time we get a new client of how do we want to use AI with this client in particular, because maybe we could try one new thing. So over 10 years, clearly things have evolved. We leave time every week in the schedule where we have a group experiment hour. This week, we've been doing our newsletter in an AI tool for the last 2.5 years, use the same tool, and the tool changed. Our outputs weren't so good. It's really hard to navigate now. And so we thought, well, maybe we'll jump. We are so attached to that tool, but maybe these other tools have advanced more. And so we tried it in 3 different tools yesterday, this same process. And I think we're going to use a different tool because it was really good. And the team has a good time with that because we can experiment and see how they're behaving currently. And then we can also bring that to our classes when we're teaching classes. And so it's part of the DNA of how we run things is these experiments. We leave time on Friday. We don't ever schedule recurring meetings on Fridays. And so people have Fridays to finish work, to go for walks with their friends, or to do these AI experiments because there's tools that we want to play with. So people can sign up, get paid subscriptions to things if they want to try something out and see if it works. And on Monday, we talk about what people have done. So I think it's, for us, it's embedded in those systems and processes. It's an opportunity that brings people together so that we can find new ways to make our lives easier. And that's what we unite on is this like, okay, let's try it. Let's see if this works. Let's see what it delivers more magic to clients and also makes it easier for us.
Well, I think that's really a huge point there, and particularly for certain entrepreneurs. And I also have a lot of following in non-developed countries. And it's interesting because that's a key piece. There tends to be, what I've experienced, more restrictions and more rigor. But what I'm hearing from you is we need to find and carve out that space, the space to experiment, the space to try, to fall forward, as I always say. And that kind of goes with the mindset that you were saying. And do you have any tips or strategies for some of those lessons of falling forward? I guess that's the thing is what have you found that works for you?
Well, I think the safe place to experiment is in those team meetings. So we have AI labs every Wednesday. In the labs, we could see things in first one person, it didn't work so well. For the other person, it did. She wrote better instructions. So then the other person borrowed those instructions and made the thing. So it was this collaborative process. It's like one person then could contribute to the rest of us. So we weren't losers if it wasn't our thing that was better. It was more like, oh, you did the best job. Can I have that thing? you know?
Yeah.
And
Shared,
so
you're sharing it, learning from each other. But the question here is, and this is where conscious leaders are able to do what you do. They remove their ego and it's like, hey, we're in the AI, we got all these new tools. How can we then move forward? So what would you suggest for someone who's starting out, getting their feet kind of wet into the whole AI world, and they want to fall forward, they want to try these tools? What would you suggest a good starting point?
We usually recommend that people start with something that isn't for work. A meal plan. Everybody has to eat. Not everybody cooks, but most people would, or at least what they'd like to eat. You can use for free, you could use ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. And you can start to have this conversation with all 3 of them, test them out and see which you like the conversation the best and say, make a meal plan for the week. Just tell it, hey, I'm going to be home for lunch and dinner. I will be not having breakfast there, so I don't need those meals. I don't want gluten or dairy. I don't like bell peppers. You're having this conversation that's going to go back and forth with AI. And then you can look at the recipes and you can be like, oh, I don't think I would like this one because it has such and such. Can you replace it? And through the process of having that conversation, that going back and iterating, you are learning how to prompt. You're learning how AI thinks because you'll be able to see different inputs there to get those outputs that come back to you. So it could be an exercise routine, yoga poses based on time of month. Like you can ask it all of these different things.
Yeah.
Have conversations with it for just personal. And I know there's a lot of people using it personally, but not at work yet. I think if you get it good for using it personally and get good at it and understand what it can do or what it can't do so well, it will start to open things up.
I think that's a really good starting suggestion for those who are new. Then we go to the other extreme, which is like the power moves for entrepreneurs, serial people who are like, they're in the business and they're like, no, we need this. I'm dedicated. I want to really kind of go to that next level. I'm calling these like the power moves, right? Because there's so many tools out there, like you're saying, that can really help with efficiencies. You've trained over 12,000 professionals. How many now? 15? That's a lot of beautiful people who have different ways of learning, different ways of absorbing the information. What are you seeing now that a leader should be aware of in the world of bringing AI into the organizations, into training, that can really support maybe better engagement, onboarding, being a change, we're both change enablers, to kind of get that awareness and then to integrate it and then to sustain it?
Yeah. And that comes to the cadence and putting time in the calendar, putting it into meetings on a weekly basis. If you're on EOS, you put it in your L10s, you can put the projects in IDS. Everybody should be considering where they want AI, where they want to use humans, and where they want to use automation, and then start to build workflows that will accommodate that. Because you'll have uniquely human parts of the business and places that you could automate that you decide, no, I want to keep humans in this spot. This is what makes us special. For me, doing that newsletter, we'll have the base of the newsletter done with AI, but then I go in and I write my opinions on all of the pieces, and then I sign off on it that it's okay to put up. And so that is a place where I choose to have a human in the loop. And I don't have to. We could generate it. It could be in my voice and it could automatically go out. But since I signed my name to it, I want to make sure that I actually agree with what's in there. I can be contrary to something or agree with something, but AI is not going to be that nuanced for me yet because it won't know my opinion about these things. And it tends to write agreeably towards everything. So if I ask it to summarize, it just agrees with things, makes it sound like I'm selling it.
But that's a key point though, Nicole. I want to jump in there because so I've been using like ChatGPT, I use Otter AI, I use different types of tools, right, to support what I do in my consulting world. I also do work in healthcare. It's not quite there yet in healthcare. It's coming. They're testing, trial, experimenting. But for me, I think that's something that we don't talk enough about is not only the prompts, what are great prompts, and go to Nicole for sure, because she has some great tools, but the bias that's inherent in what you're getting back. And, there's that awareness that I think we need to talk about. What else can people who are really learning, growing, they're wanting to make this power move, they want to move forward, what are those inherent biases that we have to be aware of?
There's bias. I mean, there's gender bias and there's ethnicity bias that are in. A lot of them also just want to please you. And so they kind of sound like marketers. I'm a marketer, but I don't want all my articles or all my summaries to sound like that because I don't agree with these tools being better. Or it is about that discernment. And we have to use our human discernment to understand what's special about the AI abilities and what's special about the human abilities in the process. So we have spent a lot of time this year working with people on workflows in the business and SOPs and deciding where to have AI, where to have humans, and where to have automation. And we have a little matrix that breaks it down of when you should choose these different things if you're questioning it, because it is important to consider your magic. Can I capture my magic with AI? Maybe I can, but sometimes it's just, I had a conversation with an author earlier today. He's saying, we still use humans in this interview process and we will have AI record it and summarize it, but it's a human that needs to be there for an interview like this to have that emotional connection and pull out the information in an organic way that a set of questions just wouldn't reach.
I thank you for that. Again, we're both connected through the Global AI Council with Kate Hancock and others. And it's unfortunate. I would love to have had you there in LA as well, but I know there's more coming. But we were talking about, I'm going to pivot a little bit about the importance of empathetic or human-centered AI. We have to go back to understanding that human is at the core. These are tools that we're going to use. How do we then navigate building in that empathy, building in, like they're not conscious beings, they're tools. But we as humans, as leaders, we're only, I'm going to say our output is only as good as we are. If we're self-aware and emotionally intelligent, then guess what? We're going to probably have better outcomes with our AI tools or pieces like that. So do you have any suggestions or learnings? You've worked with so many different organizations. How are you building in that human-centered, empathetic AI kind of perspective?
That's a good question too. AI, unless you're talking to Grok, is quite empathetic, and it has more patience than humans do.
True. that is true, actually, when I reflect on it. It's true.
Yeah, there's actually this hospital in China that is fully digital and fully AI, and there's not a human in the process. You would think like, well, there's no human to take care of me, but who has had the experience of going into a hospital and feeling received well?
Well, I'm hoping the humans are still there. Like, is there not any humans around? Like, it's an interesting concept, but you still would need clinicians to deliver the care, though.
Not necessarily. There's been the first surgeries with AI.
Yep.
And 100% successful gallbladder surgery. And yes, it's an experimental hospital, but the robots, the bots, the AI, they don't get tired. They don't get emotionally tired like we do. I actually love talking to AI when I'm having a moment and I'm frustrated with some communication, email or text message. I throw it in there and I say, please create either an emotionally neutral response or emotionally positive response to this when I am just not feeling that way.
I like that you're doing that. I guess the question I have, because as you know, in the Leadership Heart podcast, we really dive into individuals like yourself through like that self-discovery. So for me, because you are so emotionally intelligent and self-aware, you can catch yourself in that moment and say, hey, I need to reframe. I need to shift my perspective and look at this differently. But not everyone is at that stage. So is there any suggestions? I know, again, you're teaching and training so many different leaders in this. If you are running up against this and you are being frustrated, what can leaders or teams do to really wrap around and train well, other than, bringing yourself in or others like, who are your expertise?
I would just say, like, on the emotional side of things, when you're feeling frustrated in a situation, you can talk to one of the models and you can say, I'm feeling really frustrated right now. You can swear, you can get all your emotions out. But whenever you're hitting those blocks, and it could be emotional or it could be you just can't figure something out, it's a really good first place to go. I had to do a spreadsheet for a client, and it was an annual budget, a 1-year marketing budget. Some items in the budget last 3 months, some are all year long. And I hate using Excel. I hate doing spreadsheets. And so I'm sitting in front of the computer like, oh, I don't want to do this. This is why I say, like, if anybody hasn't been using AI, you're not lazy enough. So I was faced with this thing that I didn't want to do. And I just popped open a window, started having a conversation with AI. I did not know it could do this. This was 2.5 years ago in the beginning. And I said, I need to make a spreadsheet with these things on it, blah, blah, blah. And I started having the conversation, and something that would have taken me 3 hours, I was done in 20 minutes.
Wow. That is amazing, isn't it? Just like, whoo, all that time's freed up.
Yes, it is. And the emotional weight of having that thing, because that takes up RAM when you have those tasks that you don't want to do. It really takes up headspace. The things you procrastinate can bog you down. Of course, I still check the math. I'm doing all of the using my human discernment, but I was complete in 20 minutes and I couldn't believe it. And I was looking at it again. I'm like, is this good enough to send out? I sent it right over to the client and he was so happy to receive it and approved it. And we were off to the races. That was a big moment for me because it was something I hate to do. And now I love to teach it. A lot of people don't enjoy it. My sister loves to do Excel. She's a whiz at it. And some people are. I am not. And I have to do it relatively regularly. So it's also that using AI to help solve problems. and just experimenting. Like I got an ad for some headshot app and I tried it out and I had fun with that. And so you could see, well, it's not quite there, but that was fun.
Really, again, it's reminding me this is a power move because you're using it for something that you dislike, or perhaps, as I say, it's a lesser talent, because I'm there with you. Excel and me, well, no, we're not the best of friends. It's how I frame it. However, I have not yet tried it with AI, but I'm now inclined. So for those who are similar of ilk, who like this kind of thing, that may be something you want to consider, because again, it's either start small, do it personal, and then bring it into the work environment, get comfortable. There's still a lot of fear out there, and it's really embracing moving from that back brain kind of, I'm fearful of this, it's going to take my job, it's going to do all these things. Let's just kind of unpack that a little bit, because that's really about our own self and how we look at change, isn't it? How do you help people kind of get over that fear hurdle of AI is going to take my job?
Or it's the people who know how to use AI are going to take your job. It's actually not AI that's going to take it. So you better get on board, use that fear in a positive way and learn. Really, you've got to learn how to use it no matter what your job is. If you're scared of the tools, a lot of people get the fear from media about the tools and not being secure. You can take the privacy policy of any of these tools, drop it into ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude, put it in there and ask it about the privacy policy. And you can find out how secure or not secure they are. Intellectual property, we have these conversations all the time. You can find out what the policies are. And in different countries, it varies because of the governing policies of the countries. If they are GDPR compliant, then that's kind of highest, most conservative standard. And that's in Europe. There's also this AI agreement over in Europe that Google just signed. Yeah, they're agreeing to a higher standard because they want to, it helps with a lot of things. It helps get into enterprise. A lot of people use Google Workspace, so it behooves them to be very secure. ChatGPT's been losing ground to Claude because Claude has also really pushed security. And when you have a security messaging, then people feel more safe using it. So you could feel unsafe about the tools themselves, your intellectual property, or about losing your jobs. Yeah, in our classes, we talk about that. And when we do tools, like demo the different tools that we use, we'll let people know, like when you use this tool, you don't own any intellectual property produced by it. They can do whatever they want with what you're making. For me, I made some stickers. I designed some stickers for a trade show and they're really cute. And I don't care if those are everywhere because then other people have our brand.
These things, I'm going to jump in, Nicole, because I think this is really important, especially for entrepreneurs like coaches and individuals like myself, where you're using these tools to co-create some of like the base frameworks, but then you're moving on top. Like it's your content, but it's helping to you streamline, to be more efficient, particularly for the frameworks. I really appreciate them. But again, like you're saying, put it back in, look at the privacy and things like that. Like you don't own that property. So are there inherent risks?
I mean, there are, especially right now with the administration in the US. If you're using any unpaid version of any tool, your information's open. Your information is open to being looked at by their developers. Sometimes, just because I know people who work at the companies, though they claim the developers don't have access, they do. The reason they go in is they looked at your prompts and your answers and see, it's kind of like rage clicking on a website when somebody's clicking over and over and you have a tool like Hotjar installed. You want to see if people are rage prompting, ideally fix your product. And that's why the engineers say they would have that access. Paying for the tools gives you more security. And a lot of people are using free and they're using free for work. You don't own anything on a free tool at all.
Yeah, I pay for mine just because of those reasons. It's worth the investment. As we're moving forward, more people are getting involved. I want to go into this whole notion of how do you know and how can you trust? Like you have proven, you have this huge background. You are the real master in this AI world. There's a lot of people that are coming up, oh, I'm a prompt engineer. Let's unpack that. What does that actually mean? Is it important to know, like, how do we vet people for credibility?
Oh my God.
I can unpack that. Sorry.
I can vet people because I can see the limitations of their ability because I know how they should be thinking about things. Just like marketing, you could get really bad people who just know the words enough to sell you. I have also paid for people to do things that they had no business selling me on doing. In the AI world too, that's a really hard one because it's, if you don't know, it's hard to vet it, and there aren't necessarily telltale like top 10 things you need to know, because if people can speak the language, it doesn't mean they deeply know it. They should be able to explain the difference between an LLM and an AI model to you, anybody that you're talking to, and they should be able to explain what an agent is. But then if you don't know the answers to that yourself, then how are you going to know? I was on a Zoom earlier today and I heard the person talking about it incorrectly. And she was teaching a group of people about AI. And there's some fundamental differences that are important. The language that you use indicates your understanding of the concept. If someone can break it down for you, like a 2-year-old, what an LLM is and what an AI model and what an agent is, why you would use agents or why you would use workflows, that would be a good place to start.
I think this is important because, again, I'm going to go back to there, and you can also check in with Nicole. Nicole has a lot of really, really good training and tools. And I do like your newsletter, though. I just have to go back there. I think it's a great newsletter. There's so much interesting content there. I'm growing. I am such a newbie at all of this. However, I'm learning. Like, I have expertise in leadership development and master facilitation and change management. Like, I have credentials. I've been doing it for a long time. But again, I really wanted for my audience to kind of have these power moves, knowing what don't you know? How do you get the right kind of information? How can you learn how to vet them? Because like you're saying, I've had that experience where I had a marketing person sell me way too much different things that I didn't get the outcome. I was unconsciously incompetent. You know how you go through the stages.
For me, my weak area is hiring good accountants. And so I saw my friends' books. I saw how organized they were. And I was like, who did that? Who's your accountant? Because I want that person. Because I know what the outcome should be, but I don't know how to vet that person. And in my first company, man, I made a lot of hiring mistakes because I just did not know. You know, I've had a marketing agency for 15 years. And then we've been doing the AI thing for the last 10 years. Those are things where I can vet people, that I'm confident in it. And I actually have interviewed people for my friends because they didn't know the area, whether it was marketing or AI. They didn't know the area. They didn't know how to vet the answers to the questions. You know, if it's not your jam, it definitely helps to have somebody where it is in order to do that. Because, man, I had made so many accounting hire mistakes. Things not reconciled for like a year, you know.
And you're like, why? What was I doing?
Yeah.
But so shifting a little bit onto this again, you know, we're talking about, it comes back to, again, that self-awareness and knowing yourself. What are your strengths? What are your lesser talents? And building the strategic alliances with people. And I think that kind of moves into like what I call this, the third pillar, which is sustainable impact. Connect with experts like Nicole in this space who can build a relationship, get to know how to support. There's the reciprocity between, don't just ask, we need to give and take. Like, there's this beautiful shared trust that has to happen. However, find an expert like Nicole. And because, you know, when we look at sustainable impact for all of us in humanity with AI, we're deciding, like, if we're not great humans, what are we actually going to produce long term? There's a lot of decisions that are being made right now in how we're going to move forward with all of the different applications, like all of these different tools. So do you feel like there's a fundamental, how can we ensure that whatever impact we have now, we're going to have a positive impact on humanity?
I think that's a big question to put onto one person, especially given the types of governments that we're seeing. For us, we want to inform people about how to use the different tools, how secure they are, and how to protect themselves. AI use policies, internal policies, external policies, because we can't necessarily affect. To some degree, we could write letters, you know, there are different campaigns if we feel a particular way about the AI policies, but we can do that internally. We've had an AI use policy on the external side of our website for 2 years.
Yep.
So people can see how we would use their information, how we would not use it. And we have internal use policies, so everybody is agreeing to the same standards. If we can set those within our organizations, then at least we know we're on track. As the people teaching others, we share our policies with everybody. We have a blog post on it. You can get them and use them for yourself. Like, we had a lawyer draft ours and draft a template that we give away, because we want to make sure that people are protected. And that's our little piece of the mission, to know what you can do, because governments are changing ridiculously fast. AI is changing fast. The rules and laws are changing so often. As you know, this year's been crazy.
Yep.
And the governments
Completely.
are different. They're reacting to each other.
I agree. And, I think that's a great response to a large question, which was, it comes back to us, doesn't it? It really comes back to, what can I do in my own world? If I'm an entrepreneur, I'm interested in this. What you said from the beginning was, go try it, go experiment, go and do it. Start in your own stuff, and then bring it into maybe perhaps some areas that aren't on your great list of, I want to do this, like spreadsheets or things like that, which kind of makes sense. But really, it's the processes, it's the areas that you can also automate, which is, we know, are great sources for AI. What can we do to ensure that we're building still with heart as we move forward? Do you have any other suggestions, opportunities for leaders to look at how they approach this that would help support someone to say, yeah, I could look at it this way?
Yeah, I would say free up your team to do the things they love to do. Like, put all those tedious tasks in a bucket, figure out how to use AI and automation on the tedious tasks. Your team will be much happier.
Yep.
And then also, how can you deliver more magic, whether it's more magic in your products or services? And because you know AI, then you know you can deliver more magic. So how can you alleviate all of these tedious tasks, like spreadsheets or whatever, or at least make them easier? And how can you enhance the magic that you and your team bring to the world?
I love that. And so, if people want to get a hold of you, Nicole, and I know they will, because you have so much expertise and so many good tools and things that you've co-created to help support people who are on this journey. So how can people reach you? I know you have some new things that are coming up, some with your marketing company. Can you just share with the audience how they can get a hold of you and learn a little bit more about you?
Yeah. So if you go to aismartventures.com, you will see all the things there. Links out to the classes that we offer. We also have a resources page over at AI Smart Insiders /resources. Curated list. There are probably about 30 tools, and there are more than 30,000 AI tools that exist out there. And so this is a special curated list of the tools that we like. And most of them, we know people at those companies, and we know that they'll have funding. We know that they're going to, well, hopefully they'll live for a while. At the Insiders, AI Smart Insiders resources page, you can find that. You can also find a custom GPT that I made to help you create workflows and start figuring that out. Where should we use AI? Where should we use humans? That's at the bottom of the page. Yeah, Nicole at aismartventures.com is my email. Feel free to drop me a line. We have a YouTube channel that's AI Smart Marketing. We have a ton of instructional videos there. So you can watch videos on whatever topics you're interested in. We post videos there every week, usually a few short ones every week that are instructions of how to do all the little things on the tools that we're recommending.
Wow. Well, thank you again. It really, truly has been an honor. And there's so many other more questions that I want to ask you. I hope be able to do this again. Again, these were both the power moves. Starts with you. Have the right mindset, go in and really bring in an expert like Nicole. That's the key takeaway. Really know who you're surrounding yourself with, because there is so many things that are changing. Go out and experiment and practice. So Nicole, thank you so much for taking the time again today to come on to the Leadership Heart podcast. This episode will be coming back out on all of the Spotify, Apple, you name it, again. And thank you so much, Nicole. I'm just going to put you down at the bottom here, and then I'll talk to you in just a few minutes.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Nicole, for being here. I very much appreciate you. Thanks, everyone. And another wonderful guest will be coming forward on the Leadership Heart podcast very shortly. Take care, everyone. Until next time, make sure that you keep the right mindset, go out and do the good work. And I thank you for coming on and listening to the show today. And we will see you again shortly.